I woke up at 5, and when I left my room and met the press officer, he said to me, "Have you heard what's happened to Ronaldo?" I said, "No." And he told me that he'd had a fit, so for me, he was out of the game.
Quer dizer, está fora do jogo. Escalei o Edmundo no lugar
So I picked Edmundo in Ronaldo's place and started to go through the tactics with everyone.
Falei lá sobre a parte tática. Entramos dentro do ônibus.
We got on the bus in silence.
Todo mundo em silêncio.
No one was singing.
Ninguém cantou.
Player with great talents. He was able to break past the opposition with his power, and he was a lifeline for us, because every ball that reached him, whether it was at his feet or ahead of him, created a dangerous move.
He's probably the best number 9 in history in terms of how he played, his talent, his imagination, his finishing. He had multiple ways to finish off a chance. He was pure talent.
And it's a moment of history for Ronaldo. He's now out on his own as the World Cup's all-time top goal.
We are talking about a different player here. Somebody who is amongst the top players in the history of football.
He had speed, he was quick with the ball at his feet, he had the ability to dribble, do step-overs, square up to defenders, and of course, he scored goals, which made him un fenomeno.
De toute l'histoire du foot aujourd'hui, quel est le plus grand joueur?
That I played with.
Non.
Avec qui j'ai joué?
In the history.
For me, there is the phenomenon.
Le plus grand joueur de l'histoire, c'est Il Fenomeno, Ronaldo. Il Fenomeno. Ce qu'il a fait pour le foot, c'est incroyable. Incroyable. C'était un football que tous les jeunes joueurs veulent.
My favourite Brazilian footballer of all time is Ronaldo. I was fortunate enough to play against him many times, and I was lucky enough to play against him before he got those serious injuries that affected his career. He was a formidable player, a sensational player. He was sort of like an alien because of what he could do on the pitch. The fact that a footballer like him is not remembered as the best player of all time is a great tragedy, in my opinion. He had all the skills he needed to be the best ever.
My favourite Brazilian player? Well, there have been a few pretty good players, haven't there? But if I have to choose one player, I think it would be Ronaldo. Simply because he's one of the best attackers that you could ever wish to see. Definitely in European football and right around the world too. He was such a spectacular player. He ran so quickly with the ball, he dribbled with it all the time. I remember the movement of his legs put defenders in so much difficulty. And then in front of goal, he was so at ease and uncomplicated when it came to having a shot. So for me, he's the best, of those I've seen for myself anyway. Otherwise, you could pick out someone like Pelé. But I haven't seen much of him, so Ronaldo remains the number one for me.
We'll be back shortly when we'll have an audience with a true football legend. Ronaldo's his name, not Cristiano. The original and the best, the top scorer in World Cup history is here today, and we'll be hearing from him.
Hola, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3.
The waistline is a touch wider,
but the goofy grin still shines brightly. The boy wonder who grew up to be Superman is
officially retired. I'm tired.
What is the one thing you miss about football?
Miss the games, score goals and decide the games.
Do you look back at any of your games?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Which ones?
The final I saw many times. Lovely to see this game. I lost maybe 3 or 4 years because of my knees, but most of the time I was very happy.
Because Ronaldo, the original, was an unstoppable force.
And Ronaldo is now the greatest World Cup goal scorer.
He'd be in any World Cup 11, even if he's far too modest to say so himself.
Who's the best player ever?
I take Zico.
Some say you should have been even better, that you partied too much. Do you agree?
When it was possible to party, I did. I never miss a training, never miss a match because of party. We still have to enjoy life.
The new Brazil would do well to remember that. But true legends handle the greatest expectation.
What is the one thing you don't miss about football?
Training every day.
Gareth, my worry about him is that there are younger fans here who only saw him in his kind of fat, hopeless stage at the end of his career. But he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, World Player of the Year 3 times says it all. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful player. Strong, powerful, quick, great feet, incredible finisher. And as you say, people that saw him at the end, I hope that's not what they remember, because you've got to go back, get yourselves on YouTube or wherever it is, look at the clips, because he was a genius.
I hope they don't remember your end of your career, because I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest with
you. Did you mark him then? You played him in '97, didn't you, in the tournoi?
I played against him. Whether I marked him is open to debate, but I mean, him and Romario played that night, and of course the service up to them was lousy as well, so no, they were brilliant, a great partnership. Bobby Robson, I remember talking about him in glowing terms when he worked with him in Holland, you know, just all the talk about his lack of professionalism wasn't what Bobby said. He said something different about Romario, by the way.
But it's an enormous kind of physical specimen as well. I know he got too large towards the end of his career, but one of those players who struck me as being unplayable on his day.
No, definitely. How could you stop him? Because people in the leagues that he played in Spain and everywhere tried to kick him, they couldn't stop him.
I think that's the one thing you forget with the Brazilians. I remember we played them in '82, standing in the tunnel, all these white bodies, these fat bodies, and these guys come out with muscles everywhere. We're going, there's something wrong with this guy. You know, the strength of these people, unbelievable.
Yeah. Ronaldo, from whom we heard a few moments ago, taking about one of the great players in the history of the game, taking well-deserved acclaim here.
Those who have followed Brazil for the last decade or two, recently retired after a career so stellar, so decorated, as to be almost beyond reality. For a youngish, potentially awestruck Brazilian group, this is in several cases tantamount to shaking hands with royalty. Some have stood shoulder to shoulder with him. The likes of 19-year-old Neymar and 21-year-old Leandro are charged with succeeding him.
All bar three of Brazil's 1998 World Cup squad was Ronaldo. He'd taken himself off to Europe and was flourishing.
I just won Ballon d'Or before the World Cup, and I was the biggest star for Brazil.
Ronaldo was by now the biggest name in world football. As the tournament progressed, he was unstoppable.
I think Ronaldo changed something in football because he started to do in 100 kilometers per hour what people before did in 50. He changed the speed of football.
Ronaldo was and still and will always remain for me as one of the greatest strikers I've ever seen.
Brazil, 13 goals in 5 matches. Now, a semi-final against the unbeaten Dutch.
Here's Ronaldo!
Ronaldo really was the successor to Pelé, because Ronaldo, he had everything. The most complete player, Brazilian player since Pelé. because he could score goals with his head, he could score goals tap-ins, he could score 30 yards, he could dribble around everyone.
And this is my dream team. The players I will choose is, they don't need reason. Goalkeeper is Buffon. Defender is going to be Maldini and Fabio Cannavaro. Cafu and Roberto Carlos. Midfield is Zidane, Maradona, Messi, and one have to run. Oh, who's gonna run the team? And no, okay, Pirlo. Pirlo is the other midfield. We miss two, no? Pelé and I can choose me, so me with Pelé. I know I miss a lot of play, but yeah, this is my best.
Dubai Global Soccer for this award. I want to thank you all the clubs I played: São Cristóvão, Cruzeiro, PSV Eindhoven, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, AC Milan, and Corinthians. And special, of course, the Brazilian national team. I want to also thank my families here, my wife, Celina, and my kids also here. So thank you. And of course, all football fans. Thank you very much. Thank you. And solidarity, Mr. President, Força Inter.
Ronaldo, how special is it for you to spend nights like this where you can get together with stars of the past and the present? How special it is to be present?
Yes, well, we have a great, big responsibility as a football player. People love us as player and what we do. I was just a happy kid playing football, and I hope the young players continue this story, because we make a lot of people happy, and that is the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and you make us very happy by being here with us. Thank you.